Levi Strauss patented the blue jean in 1873. By 2003, they didn't make a single pair in America. By 2017, the last domestic selvage mill shut down for good. Today, dozens of labels stamp Selvage on jeans that never touched an American loom. Only 6 brands are still telling the truth, and what it actually costs them reveals just how deep this industry's deception runs. In the spring of 1873, Levi Strauss and Jacob Davis secured U.S. patent number 139,121 for riveted work pants, creating the blueprint for the blue jean. For generations, denim meant American labor, mills in North Carolina, factories in San Francisco, and a supply chain anchored in U.S. soil. But by the early 1960s, the ground was already shifting. Levi's opened its first southern plant in Blackstone, Virginia, chasing lower labor costs and proximity to cotton fields. The move south was only the beginning. By 1995, Wrangler's parent company, Kontoor, began sourcing its classic denim from Mexico. Lee, another American icon, shifted primary contracts to Chinese mills by 1999. The logic was simple. Foreign factories could deliver fabric at a fraction of the cost, often cutting corners on quality and labor standards. In 2003, Levi Strauss closed its last U.S. factory, ending a 130-year tradition of domestic production. The final 1,200 American workers were let go with a press release, not a ceremony. No more San Francisco sewing floors, no more California rivets. The blue jean, the symbol of American resilience, was now an import. White Oak plant in Greensboro, North Carolina, stood as the last industrial-scale selvage denim mill. For decades, it supplied Levi's with the heavyweight shuttle loom fabric that defined the 501. But as the industry raced offshore, even Cohn's legacy couldn't stop the collapse. By 2017, White Oak's looms fell silent, auctioned off piece by piece. The American supply chain was broken. As Tony Patella of Tellason put it, "If I want prosciutto, I don't want it from Germany." For American denim, the betrayal wasn't just corporate, it was cultural. What was lost wasn't just fabric, but a living tradition, replaced by marketing and misdirection. In 1891, Kohn Mills set up shop in Greensboro, North Carolina, laying the groundwork for what would become the backbone of American denim. By 1922, the White Oak plant secured an exclusive deal to supply Levi's with heavyweight selvage, fabric woven on slow wooden shuttle looms, each yard taking hours to produce. This was the denim that built the legend of the 501, a cloth so dense and tightly bound it could stand on its own. For nearly a century, White Oak's looms ran day and night, their rhythmic clatter echoing through generations of American workers. The plant was more than a factory. It was a living archive of textile knowledge, a place where families passed down their skills and pride in every yard produced. By the late 20th century, Kohn Mills White Oak was the last industrial-scale selvage denim mill left in the United States. Its Draper X3 shuttle looms, some dating back to the 1940s, were kept running by a dwindling crew of technicians, each one guarding secrets learned from the old masters. But as global brands chased cheaper labor and faster output, White Oak's orders dried up. In 2017, the company announced the plant's closure. The final roll of Selvage left the loom that December. Machines were auctioned off, technicians scattered, and the doors locked for good. The American supply chain was not just disrupted, it was severed. As Tony Patella of Tellason put it, "If I want prosciutto, I don't want it from Germany." For American denim, the loss was not only economic, it was a cultural erasure. a betrayal that left only fragments of a once mighty tradition. What remained was a word, selvage, increasingly used as camouflage by brands with nothing left to show for it but marketing copy and imported fabric. Every yard of true selvage denim begins with the shuttle loom, a machine built for precision, not speed. On a Draper X3, the shuttle passes a single weft yarn back and forth, locking each edge into a dense, self-finished band. This is the self-edge that gives Selvage its name. Unlike modern projectile looms, which slice the yarn and leave a raw, fraying edge, the shuttle loom binds the fabric from the inside out. The process is slow. At just 25 strokes per minute, a Draper X3 produces about 30 yards of denim in a day, barely enough for a handful of jeans. Each inch is packed with 108 threads, or ends per inch, creating a fabric that holds its shape for years. Vintage selvage can last a decade or more, developing deep personal fades that mass-market denim can't imitate. The difference isn't just technical, it's tactile. Selvage woven this way resists blowouts and fraying at the seams. The edge is so tight it stands up to years of wear before breaking down. That's why collectors hunt for the telltale white and red stripe inside the cuff. In contrast, open-end looms can churn out hundreds of yards an hour, but the fabric is thinner, softer, and more likely to pill or split. The science shows in the wear. Selvage fades with time, revealing indigo highs and lows, while modern denim fades flat and fast. When Tony Patella says, "If I want prosciutto, I don't want it from Germany," he's not talking about nostalgia. He's talking about the difference between a living craft and a marketing illusion. Without the shuttle loom, the word selvage is just a label. With it, it's a promise kept, 1 yard at a time. 6 American brands stand as the last true guardians of domestic selvage denim, each with a supply chain that can be traced and verified. Tellason, founded in 2008 by Tony Patella and Pete Searson in San Francisco, built its reputation on Cone Mill's white oak selvage, stockpiling fabric before the mill's 2017 closure. Patella puts it plainly, "If I want prosciutto, I don't want it from Germany." Tellason's jeans are still cut and sewn in San Francisco with US-sourced hardware. When Cone's fabric runs out, they turn to Japanese Kaihara denim, but finishing remains strictly American. Left Field NYC, launched in 1998, is one of the earliest modern American selvage labels. Sourcing raw denim from Vidalia mills in Louisiana, they assemble every pair in the United States. Each product page lists the mill origin, making the supply chain transparent. Founder Christian McCann's mission: educate buyers and keep the process American from fabric to final stitch. Vidalia Mills, born from the ashes of white oak, purchased 46 Draper X3 shuttle looms and now weaves selvage from 100% American-grown BASF E3 certified cotton. Every bolt can be traced back to its farm. Vidalia supplies fabric to brands like Left Field NYC and Raleigh Denim Workshop, keeping the technical legacy alive. Raleigh Denim Workshop sources nearly all materials within North Carolina, cutting, sewing, and finishing jeans in-house with Vidalia's denim. Brave Star Selvage, based in Texas, built its business on deadstock Cone Mills denim, mixing in Japanese selvage as needed. Assembly and finishing all happen in Texas. 7 Titans in North Carolina uses selvage woven by proximity manufacturing on original white oak looms with every step performed in-state. Walk into any store today and the word selvage jumps off the tag, but the truth is buried in the fine print. The Federal Trade Commission's Made in USA rule demands that all significant parts, including the fabric, be American, but there's no law defining selvage. That gap lets brands slap the label on jeans sewn from foreign fabric, or worse, from projectile looms that never touch a shuttle. Phrases like "designed in California" or "made in the USA with imported materials" crowd product pages, sidestepping the FTC's intent. Diesel, for example, has sold Selvage jeans made in Bangladesh, cut from commodity stretch denim, not a hint of shuttle loom craft. The forensic seam test, checking for a true self-finished edge and the signature seam stamp, exposes the difference. As Tony Patella puts it, "If I want prosciutto, I don't want it from Germany." For consumers, the only defense is vigilance. If the supply chain isn't spelled out, the word Selvage is just a sales pitch. A pair of American-made Selvage jeans typically costs between $150 and $280. Offshore Selvage, often cut from projectile loom fabric and sewn in Bangladesh or Vietnam, lands on shelves for $80 to $120. The price gap is not just about branding. It reflects the real cost of skilled labor. U.S. sewing operators earn $18 to $22 an hour, while their counterparts overseas make as little as $2 to $4. Each domestically produced jean supports nearly 10 American jobs, from cotton farming to finishing. True Selvage jeans can last a decade or more, 3 times longer than most mass-market pairs, which often need replacing after just 3 or 4 years. As Tony Patella says, "If I want prosciutto, I don't want it from Germany." Paying more is not just about heritage. It's about keeping the craft, the jobs, and the truth alive. Today, only 6 brands can prove their denim is born on American looms, not just stitched or labeled here. As Tony Patella put it, "If I want prosciutto, I don't want it from Germany." Authenticity has a cost, and every deceptive label passes that cost directly to the consumer.